Hello. Welcome to Race Brain Podcast. My name is Rich Ryan. Bracken Crocker's here. Jack Bauer is here today. We're going to be talking about DEKAFIT Northeast, what we got coming up. Really not that much else. Not a ton else really going on. We got track and field world championships. Are you guys caught up?
Oh, I'm caught up.
With that all day.
I'm not caught up. I'm on day one. My Peacock subscription is coming through.
You can't see it, I don't think. Here's my meetings for the day. One of them is World Championship Women's 1500 men's steeplechase, 242 on my. So I'm catching these things live, best I can.
I mean, I like where you're at because I'm getting spoilers. Like I saw some of the sprint results are just like the winners come through.
You can't avoid them.
I'm not.
Isn't it terrible what they do on YouTube? They're like, Noah Lyles earns historic first gold. It's like, just say, here's the 100-meter final, and don't show him necessarily in the preview, like with a gold medal.
NCAA even does that at nationals. They always show the winner crossing the line in the thumbnail. Like, what?
I comment on it.
Yeah,
I leave comments like, "Hey, stop doing that.
Stop spoiling it."
Yeah.
Well, why did you even put this up?
I can see a year
show
from
last
year's
like, winner.
Yeah. If it's like Usain Bolt won the 100 in 2008 and you're showing a clip of that, that's fine. Spoiler alert is gone. That's 15 years ago. If this is 15 hours ago, don't do that.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. So I've just decided to try to catch the races I care about live.
I like watching prelims and stuff though. I like the story, the build up. I was trying to catch up on the Diamond League to get to see how people were racing.
Yeah, you were doing the whole thing.
I was trying to do the whole thing, but I ran out of time. There's only so much time I can spend on the Echo bike.
Speaking of prelims, what are your thoughts on the new format to make it to the next round?
Good question. So they used to have what would be like top three in each heat. Say there's two heats, right? They would take the top three, and then they would take the next 6 on time or so.
Yeah.
So to get the final 12
for a distance event,
for a distance event. For a distance event, for example. And now it's just place in both. So it's top 6 in each heat. So what would happen is there would be one tactical race, and then in a later heat they would see that it was tactical, and they would just hammer from the front and hopefully get these guys who finish 6th, 7th, 8th in their heat to qualify through into the final. Not no more.
Yeah, and we talked about this extensively when the Spartan 3K debacle started up with the prelim semi-final type thing, and said that the only downside of moving, because we like the move to only auto qualifiers, which means you have to race your way into the finals. You're guaranteed that racers make the finals. The only downside is that if you get one extra good person in a prelim, they're out. Like if you have somehow the 6 best people in a prelim, they can't all make the final, which usually isn't the case, but it's the only downside. But what it did is it exposed some of the non-kickers. So like Mo Katir.
He from Spain. Yeah.
He was 328 both of the last 2 years in the 1500, and he didn't make it through the final because he got caught coming down the home stretch with a bunch of people that are just faster sprinters than him in a 334 race.
He was in the heat, right?
Yeah,
because that had 8 people with 50 meters to go side by side.
Yeah,
and it's like only 6 of you are going to make it. That was exciting racing.
And that's it's about racing, where if like you set someone next to a wave light and have them at a certain pace, maybe their output over the course of that can get them to a fast time. But if you're in a race, right, and if you start with a group of guys and you finish without any of that, like that's what we're looking for in this. Not necessarily who can run the fastest, but who can run the fastest within this specific event against the people that they're going against. So I'm for it. I like it.
And I don't think I've ever seen him run a bad race in a fast race. He's like, I'm not a huge fan of him, but he is so tough.
You said Nagus?
No, Katir.
Oh. Not a fan of Nagus.
Okay, I was like, who's not a fan of him? He's a good guy.
Let the goose fly. But Katir will just hang on. He's so gutsy and tough. He'll just hang on to any pace you set, and he's so good at it. But the tactical races are where he struggles. Like he didn't win the 1500 championships in Spain. And like Macau won it, or I believe Macau won it. I'm not sure.
Does he run from the front? You should figure he should just run from the front.
Yeah, but he's in all of his Diamond League races, he's not the best guy there. So all his experiences against these he races everyone, but he's just always like the second or third or fifth best and just hangs on and hangs on. I just haven't seen many races of his because he gets into such good races where he's working on tactics, and he didn't have it there. But in a race looked good.
From the front.
He did.
Go ahead, Jack.
I was gonna say, and you also saw not just Katir fall off, but like Timothy Chariot, former 1500 world champion, didn't even make the finals because of the new format.
The crazy difference between him and Jacob in that race, because they were side by side with 300 meters to go.
From
Jacob just casually, last and second last with 300 meters to go, and Jacob just casually showed that he's a notch above everyone, and Chariot looked human for like the second or third time ever.
Yeah. Did you catch that race, Rich?
Not yet. Before we get too far down into like flow track territory,
he did something special in the end of that. So
let's pull it back. Let's pull it back into race brain territory here. Let's talk about DEKAFIT. Like I said, we don't have a ton of time. We don't have a lot to cover today. It's that time of the year, right? Downtime, season starting. Now, we're before High Rocks. Like, there's not a ton going on the Spartan world. When's our next Spartan thing? We're not the October race.
Yeah, we have OCR Worlds before then, technically under the Spartan umbrella at this point. But yeah,
I muted myself for that chug. That was big time,
dude. That was a serious chug, man. Your like eyes are watering.
Yeah,
like,
I crushed it.
That thunder comes right down into your throat, up and out of your eyeballs.
We've basically got DEKAFIT, Philly, and then a recap, and then Orlando in a few weeks, and then a recap for that. Then you're going to Madrid, and then we go back into OCR for a while.
Nice.
But
and then the High Rocks
OCR calendar
will start kicking up. And I think there's that other. We can talk about that other Australia race too. These are conversations that we should have offline. So we have the first race in the Northeast region, the only race that we're going to get in the Northeast region coming up this weekend for DEKAFIT. So we're going to see a lot of athletes who we have not seen race yet, including me. But let's start on the women's side. Jack, I have the list here too. If I can pull it up, or if you, does it allow you to share?
If you want to do visually, feel free. I just have it pulled up on my phone. I was going to rate it off easy.
No. We're going to do it visually so we can take a look and we can go through it.
Let's do it.
These women fascinate me because they are racing everything. On the women's side of the DEKA sport, the hybrid sport, you have the top women doing all these crazy other things. And on the men's side, you don't see a ton of it. Kent actually broke character and did a random OCR thing at grid. But outside of that, you haven't seen a ton of racing from the top guys in other things other than hybrid. And the women are doing so much of it. And it's going to be interesting to see both sides come together and what plays well here.
So some of the names that we will see on the women's end this weekend, it's going to be Meg Jacoby making her DEKAFIT debut. She's never run a full fit. We got Alnadra.
She's not going to be very good at it.
Yeah, we'll see.
She's going to struggle.
Like, knowing what we know about her,
no one does well their first time, right?
Those wall over. Yeah, exactly. It's a tough race to figure out. Alnadra Greenlee, who was second place in fit, strong, and mile last year, is making her season debut. Laura Cummings will be out there, who was a top 12 last year. Bethany McChesney, who won the Canada race. Michelle Navarro, who was in the top 12 last year, who's been racing really well. Julie Best, who's been on the scene. Christopher Glaski, heard of her. Vivian Tufuto, who was fourth at DEKA and at High Rocks World Championships last year. Carly Wopat making her DEKAFIT debut, which will be really interesting. Then some other names: Emmy Cross, Miranda Kopinski, Annie Schiller.
Don't sleep on the hometown girl, the only PA representative there, Ms. Schiller.
All right. I was going to be like, well, that's Yinzer stuff, man. Pittsburgh versus like Philly side. It's not the same place.
We did our dialect map already. There are other people, right?
Would you claim a different state before you'd claim Pittsburgh as one of your own?
In terms of like how I would identify with the people from there?
Delaware.
Being from Eastern PA, New Jersey.
So if you saw a professional athlete who's from New Jersey and one from Pittsburgh, you would be like, I gotta roll with my hometown New Jersey boy.
100%. Like there's a couple, Aji Wilson is from Jersey.
800.
Sydney McLaughlin from New Jersey, not too far from where I grew up. Like, yeah, I would be like that. I know how that person grew up more than those Yinzers out west grew up.
Out west. I like that. Okay. Well, sorry, Annie, you're off. You're not a hometown. This isn't a hometown race for you.
She'll tell you. It's going to be like a 5-hour drive for her.
Yeah, Yinzer. What's a Yinzer? Am I using it correctly?
I mean, yeah, you could just claim someone. So in the East Coast of Pennsylvania, they say use, like use guys. On the West, they say yins guys.
So they need to go to school again.
Oh, like use is what you should be saying.
No, there's no plural of you. It's just you or you guys. Even if you're talking
like y'all.
Yeah.
Use is at least an incorrectly conjugated existing word.
I'll listen to bracket conjugation. Okay.
Well, Jack, this is your style. You should be all up in this conversation. I'll let you guys.
This isn't grocery stores, Rich. I'm staying back.
Yins is just a made up word.
Yeah,
for sure. No idea.
Y'all's another one. Like they conjugated a word, they just made it up, but there was 2 real words they used.
So yins would be the plural. What's the singular? Yin. Hey, how are yin doing? Is that what they do?
Potentially, maybe. Yeah, they do kind of like smash their words together like that too. Like it's an interesting place that I don't identify with.
Before we get back on topic, do you know what? I finished up the TV show I was watching. I like to watch something before I fall asleep at night.
What are you watching?
Well, do you know what I switched to the moment I got back from Minnesota at the wedding?
Let me guess.
The Bachelor.
Come on.
I thought it was a lead-in.
Well, it was a lead-in. It was just the wrong lead.
Fargo? I don't know.
Always Sunny.
Oh.
Right back to Always Sunny in Philadelphia. You inspired me. All this Philly talk, all this talk of stabbing people and tearing stuff down. And
you start from the beginning?
Yeah, I think the first 2 or 3 are tough watches, and then the first season is actually not bad.
No.
They just didn't have it down yet. But I think the first episode is probably the toughest one to watch.
Oh, really?
I think the first episode is the gang gets racist right off the bat. They're dropping a hard N.
Wouldn't fly. I mean, that was how many years ago? I mean, even back then it was like, whoa.
I think
but
they're
now
on
it's
like season 13 or 14 or
something like that. Yeah.
Anyway, I haven't watched the whole thing in a couple of years, so I decided after listening to You's talk, I'm going to rewatch.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day too. I was like, is that show a net positive for like the actual area? And really, it's like I was like, yeah, because they're like Philly guys who like made it. So I'm like, I'm for it. I'm pro on that.
They made it by standing on top of you guys mashing your face into the mud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like you're gonna drown for their success.
Yeah, and it's like, and I think people even in Philly enjoy it. They're like, okay, cool. Mac from South Philly.
Rich, enjoys it. Since you're sort of still in your new not from Philly phase, like, do you ever see yourself giving up your roots there? You're ever going to transfer to Colorado? Or
saying that I'm from Colorado?
Yeah, or no. Are you ever going to give up the Philly in you?
What? No. What? Like, be like a Nuggets fan or like a Broncos fan? Are you kidding me?
Not sports wise, just like in general.
That's right.
Saying that I'm from Colorado? No.
Okay. Like, let's say you're at the house for 30 years. And
I would still.
You live there.
I live there. I
lived here, but you're not from there.
Exactly. No, never.
Just checking.
I don't really even claim Philly because I'm not from Philly. I'm from like the Lehigh Valley, out by. That's where it's not the same place. So I don't even say I'm from. Like,
you don't have a plaque in Philly.
Exactly. Yeah, put me on the wall out there. I don't have it.
But win this DEKAFIT race, and you might get right up next to Rocky. So
they might notice. We were. I just spent some time this weekend with Meg Jacoby. She came out. We did like a little hybrid camp, super fun, great time. And Ryan Kent and Meg told a real funny story that she was like the athlete of the week when she was like 16 or 17, like in her local paper, and like it made like the like they do it on the TV there, like her like town in like Binghamton, New York. So it's like that's another place that's not really like connected to any like major metro area. So like they would have like a local news and like a local paper that would be like what's going on. And someone submitted her for athlete of the week again as like a 32-year-old High Rocks athlete. and they gave it to her, so she was like on TV.
Nice.
and in the paper. I was like, that's amazing. So maybe in my future, maybe after
You met
this
my girl
DEKAFIT.
Joyce.
Hell yeah, I met your girl Joyce. She's a delight.
She's
amazing. It was so fun.
She's got
Great
some
time.
dog in her.
Definitely. She's an absolute grinder.
While we're on that, Rich, how was the weekend overall? Give a little summary of like what you guys did.
10 out of 10, 12 out of 10. It was amazing. We had 9 athletes come in from pretty much all over the country.
And just to reiterate, this is a hybrid camp in Colorado. So just,
like a hybrid racing.
Mention that.
Hybrid.
And that's a 1 1/5 in proper fraction terms. It's 12 out of 10 talk.
12 out of 10.
1.2.
Let's conjugate that. What do we think? So yeah, we just had two full days basically. People came in Friday, then we hung out Saturday, and then we left Sunday, and just like a weekend of workouts, some education around it. It was me, Meg, Ryan Kent, Camilla Massa, and Luca Lorenzi kind of hosting the thing, and it was just a great time, an absolute great time. I don't know how much detail.
His last name?
I don't know. Potentially
Lorenzi?
not.
I thought it was
Lorenzoni, I thought.
Lorenzoni. Yeah. Maybe I missed some words.
Yeah.
With some letters in there.
That's all right. Sorry. Continue. Not to detract.
But yeah, no, it was really fun. It was really fun. So my weekend has been kind of all over the place in terms of trying to. That's why I'm not caught up on the World Championships.
Makes sense.
And it seemed like you ended it with a nice sauna session.
We had there's like a creek there. Have you spent time in Lyons, Jack?
Oh no, I was talking about VJ's video.
Oh my God, that was in the middle. The Porto Sauna. One of VJ's brands. Did you see there's another Joggins out?
Oh yeah.
Some VJ
He made it
Joggins.
to Florida. He crossed the Atlantic.
It's amazing. All the way from UAE to Florida.
Yeah. It's impressive.
So check out VJ Jones. He's got some funny stuff going up there.
He got a haircut on the way also somehow.
He's not going to get a haircut anymore.
Yeah.
Where are we? What are we doing
I don't
here?
know.
DEKAFIT.
Deka.
Got the world champ coming back to reestablish dominance.
We're talking about the women first, but the Deka Mile world champ, Meg Jacoby's going to be there. So, or should we just talk about who's going to be there on the men's side as well?
Yeah.
Let's stick with the women. We're already diving into it.
Let's stick with the women. Good call, Jack. So, there are how many women on here, Jack, who don't have a time? Alnadra doesn't have a time. Meg doesn't have a time this year. Yeah, I'm gonna pull up the list as well.
Does Laura? I don't think she does. Because
I actually don't think she does either.
East Coast one. You have Orlando after. I wouldn't be surprised if a bunch of the athletes here do Orlando as well, just to get another mark. But
last year Orlando was kind of like a last chance meet where everybody showed out, and there was in the men's side it was like 7 of the top 12 came from that race.
Yeah. Looking at this, I think Bethany, she did because we talked about the Canada event.
She did that one, yes.
Michelle Navarro definitely does. Julie Best, we've seen her at a couple of them. Miranda does not. Imi, I don't believe she does. Chris does not. Carly does not. Vivian does. Wow, we've got a lot of people are going to get bumped after this race if they're on the list right now.
So right now, the 20th time in the world is Jess Caviglia, and she's at 37:25. So most of these athletes are going to be looking to be under that and stay under that. So I would imagine, yes, that especially like in that middle, from really anywhere from the top
7?
time.
I was going to say 7 or 8. What's like the 12th, maybe even 10th, because you're going to have some like Lauren. Well, she already has a mark, but you'll see a couple more people show up to Orlando to improve their time as well. Like, what are we sitting at in the low teens?
So the low teens, like Katie Duke is 12th, and she's 36:47. There's a big grouping of people within like 35, 40 seconds from 12 to 20.
There should be at least 7 people that move into the top 15 in this race, I think. For sure, top 20.
Yeah.
You think so? Name them out. We got Viv and Chris.
Miranda.
Miranda was,
Annie.
She did make the top 12 last year.
Yeah.
But chose not to race. This is going to be stacked, dudes. This is going to be a
So we've got 12 people named, and I actually got an updated email from Yancey earlier. There are a few guys' names at the top who aren't there or who aren't on your list, and then a couple other ones. There's Sarah Grippy, and she's won a couple Spartan races this year as well. So
she's not. She was at some of the maybe at Grit or Rally. She was at one of those.
Yeah, she's a good hybrid
Sarah
athlete.
Grippy Snyder. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, I think you've got 12, 13 people who are, and that's not even including some of the other ones who aren't even highlighted right there. Who
I was just thinking that
Sarah Paladin, she's
Sarah
pretty
Paladin.
fast.
Yeah, she could be right up there.
Heather White, she was 5th at High Rocks North American Championships in 2021. Stephanie Hillman, she was
Heather White qualified elite last year, I thought, for
strong, and she will again this year as well. Stephanie Hillman's a really strong athlete who was the top overall age group finisher last year. She had the best time. Jen Stagnoli, she's also in that vein. I think she was 2nd in her age group at High Rocks Worlds. So
Stephanie Hillman, I'm looking at it. Last year, she went 36.06, and she was ranked 14th. She was 8 seconds behind Bridget Brown for seeding.
Yeah, so she could be right in that mix, like in the top 10 if she comes through with that. So she's definitely one to watch out of the other. Jack, get her in the fast heat, dude.
Look, don't worry. I'm gonna make sure the right people are there.
Jack's doing the Lord's work every time there's a DEKA.
I've got like a 90% accuracy rate, so I'm not taking this thing lightly. I want the right people to end up right. Like Jessica Viglia, you mentioned her. She's sitting in 20th. She was like a day of sign up, her first race, and I felt bad because she ended up getting a podium from Heat 2, and then the next race, I was like, we're going more than 10. We're making sure she gets in there just to make sure, and now she's sitting in the top 20. So
Lori Winkleman, someone right now, she's at 36.40. She's number 11 on the total list.
She, if I'm not mistaken, ran DEKA Mile last year, potentially in the Elite Heat. I'll look it up. Yeah, or DEKA Strong. She's really good. So,
is this the best assembled list since Worlds?
Yeah.
Even without Tara and Lauren there, I would say yes. Like, who's going to podium?
I don't know.
I'd confidently say Meg. You should. Alnadra should make it, and then after that, like Vivian, should probably be my next pick. But then you're leaving out Chris. You're leaving out Miranda. You're just so many solid athletes who have made the Elite 12 in the past.
Let's go around and give a storyline that we're interested in for this race. BK, you got one lined up? I know you got one locked and loaded. You got a headline just ready. Copies ready. It's been approved. It's going straight to production. What's the headline for you?
Oh, I'm torn between taking a shot at Chris and giving Meg her flowers.
Shot at Chris. We need some drama.
Shot at Chris. Yeah, what sort of hybrid shape is Chris really in?
Great question.
Because we see such... I'd say that's her least consistent form of competition is hybrid. Because we've seen the highest of highs, High Rocks World Champion, and then we've seen her at different points of the season when other things are a point of emphasis, because she's just not the most power-based athlete in her training, she gets caught a little bit behind on certain things, whether it's a sled or just overall output, and usually it's sandwiched in between 100-milers. So if there's ever a place for it to go wrong, it's that things don't go really wrong for her. But her lowest output is sometimes hybrid. So this will be interesting to see. Like, is she up here battling for the top 2 to 3 spots the whole race, or is she a step off? That's what I'm interested to see. Where is she at this point right in time? Because we know if she peaks for something, she's as good as anything, but we just don't see her peak for things very often.
She's going to have a full week off of racing. I don't think she raced this past weekend. She did the Grit Games before then. She'll
be fresh as a daisy.
Technically in the results, winning the events. And then she ran a few 100 or 50-milers the weeks leading up to that. So she's fresh. I think it's good for her.
What does an off weekend look like for her? Does she just bag like a dozen peaks?
Yeah, she definitely bags them.
Does she bag them?
How dare you both? So yeah, right. Like she probably didn't chill. Right.
That's true.
I don't think she went into a DEKA block.
Did she show up for the hybrid camp?
No, we didn't see her. We thought we might, but we didn't. We saw Joggins.
Okay.
But I guess to round this off with why I'm saying this, specifically the machines. We know the other women are putting in their machine time. And in DEKA, the ski and the fan bike or the assault bike just matter so much that if you're not putting in a lot of that, it shows. And that we don't know ever what she's doing.
Yeah.
This specific area of hybrid fitness where it's like the high end is an area that we haven't necessarily seen her excel in. The Grit Games was a good example of her doing well in like a couple, like 20-minute workouts. So it's not that she doesn't necessarily have it, but in terms of like 5K prowess, she's probably, if you line this up 5K, Jack, what do you think? Where is she ending up?
She's probably
5th.
Yeah. Michelle Navarro's faster, Laura's faster, Meg's faster, she's probably right there with Miranda.
Healthy Bethany, I think, would be faster.
Bethany, yeah. At 5th sounds about right, if we're going pure top end speed.
Yeah. And she's one of those people I look at and say, whatever her 5K PR is, it's not what her 5K ability is. Okay. Has she ever just jumped in a 5K race? I don't know. I know she did the OCR Stars time trial and some other things, but has she ever just, like, if you lined up all these women and just ran a 5K, do we really think she takes 6th or 7th?
I think there's a level of like toughness that she has that almost can't be accessed in a race like a 5K because of the demands that just shut you down, right? Like just the overall turnover, like what Chris has over everybody. I mean, she obviously has a ton of ability and a lot of factors that we can break down physically, but her toughness is like the X factor here. But like you can't out tough a 5K unless you are of a certain level. Like you have to be of a certain level to then put yourself in the position. But when it comes down to the toughness,
the only thing, you're right. And my only response to that would be that middle bit from like 1.5 to 2.5, when you're just running solo time trials for competitions, I don't know how much toughness matters. It's really about fitness. But when you get into a race, I think you can tough your way through the middle part and then realize I'm way more fit at this than I thought I was. Suddenly you're there with a mile to go or half a mile to go. So I just don't know if she's ever been in a situation to be tough in a 5K. But you're right. Her best trait is not used during a 5K. But the way we watch her run, like opening up a Savage, the first mile, like clearly she's a faster runner than she's ever run in a road race.
I think that
I need to stop giving her compliments.
This is too much.
I think we're once again doubting Chris. Last year she went 20:44 in Deka Mile. She's fast enough. If you can, she's in the 13s for Deka Strong. She was ranked 6th last year for DEKAFIT. I think she did World's Toughest Mudder a week or so beforehand, and she still decided to compete and beat a couple people in it. And she ran a 34:27 last year. That was within about 30 seconds of Bridget Brown, Vivian Tufuto. And the only other people ahead of her were Tara, Alnadra, and Lauren, who ended up being on the podium for this. Like, say what you want about her 5K. I'm done doubting Chris. I've been done for a long time.
Never.
I don't know. She gets overlooked because her metrics aren't super impressive, but she always delivers. She's just kind of one of those racers. Doesn't matter what type of training block she's in. I don't even know if she does training blocks. I think if she's just doing volume and whatever comes to her. But I am not doubting Chris at all.
And Rich has talked about this before. You have to be fast to do well at DEKAFIT, but the running itself, no one interval is crazy fast. And her best fast running is compromised. She's an exceptional compromised runner. So no, I don't think it'll be too fast for her on any one given piece. It's, can she maintain all the pieces at once with these, like this murder row of athletes around her? But I'm excited to see it. If I add on, Miranda Kopinski looked so good with her running that last Savage race, so improved that I'm excited to see her open up and do something here.
And she just won Massachusetts. They had a Spartan race there a week or two ago. So she's fit. And one other thing, just back to Chris real quick, that opening workout when everyone's fresh for Grit Games, it was a strength-based element, and Carly Wopat would be in the men's field right now for Deka Strong, pretty much. She won 11:55 for Deka Strong. That's just ridiculous. And Chris, she was, what, 3 steps behind her at the end, closing hard on her. You can't deny that type of output.
Yeah, no, I think those are all fair points. I think that it'll be interesting to see, because when was her last 100 miler? She's got to be recovered from that.
It was 2-3 weeks ago, or 3-4 weeks ago at this point.
I think she does a good job of, like, when she has an upcoming event, like putting in some spice into it so that she can be a little bit more prepared. Like I said, last year she went out hard at DEKAFIT World Championships, just to kind of put herself in the mix. But again, like, you can't out tough. Like, if you're in over your head 10 minutes into a 30-minute race, like, you can't really out tough something like this. And I think that's just what we saw from her last year at Deka World. So you can kind of throw that out. So I don't know if we've actually seen her at her best. And I think this is a decent time for her, considering how well she does bounce back and forth between things. So yeah, I mean, wouldn't be surprised to see her on the podium.
Yep.
Jack, what's your headline?
I could do the easy one with Meg, but I think what we saw from Alnadra at High Rocks World Championships a few months ago, we were like, what happened? It was just kind of surprising. I just want to know where she's at, because we haven't really seen her since then. And we know top end talent, like podium at Worlds, she is at that ability level in any event that she decides to do. So I just kind of want to see, is Alnadra like fit? What might have happened at High Rocks World Championship? Just kind of get an update on where she's at.
I like it, because when we've seen her at her best, she is like she will put her nose in it against anybody. She doesn't back down from anyone. But yeah, the times that we've seen from her since even High Rocks Worlds haven't been as strong as she was at this point last year. Like, I'm going to pull up her strong and mile are not where she was. She was the Deka mile world record holder at one point. And now this year her time is 21:23. And I believe she was like closer to 20 flat.
She last year.
Yeah.
Last year she was 19:32
at Worlds. Right. So at this point, so now with her time, like 2 minutes slower in a Deka mile, we kind of can throw Deka miles out, right? Like, we don't really know what they're like and what gym circumstances they are in. Mm-hmm. But that's not a time that we would expect to see from her. We don't know exactly like what she was prepping for, what we're seeing from her. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's a good question. Like, because looking at this, it's like, okay, she got second at every one of them last year. She should be a favorite to win this race, right? Like, on paper, odds wise.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know where she's at. I think this is a good one. And then, like, her strong. What was her strong last year, Jack? Do you have that right in front of you?
I'll pull it up, but keep going.
Like, her strong this year is 13:14. I don't think she was too much.
No, last year she was 13:03, so within striking distance.
Not too
Only
far.
2 women ended up being sub 13 last year. Maddie Jones and Tara Jackson, who had the record at 12:51. So the strong field has really stepped up this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I give Alnadra a pass on Worlds because she had something outside of her control happen.
The sled pull penalty.
Do we still know what happened?
For the penalty, I'm not sure. I think Matt covered it, but I don't remember exactly why she got the penalty, but the penalty was so ridiculous.
Yeah, she was just
pull it 3 meters, pull it back 3 meters.
She had to go to the other side each time. And at the World Championship, especially on the grid, especially when she had a plan to do really well and she was starting to be moved back and back, and the rest of the race is a wash. Like, it would have been a great storyline if she could have come back and done something, but I hold none of that against her. So I'm still operating under the assumption that she's the second best at all of them. And I believe if you can be second on all the same weekend, you could win one of them if you had specialized. Not that she would have. There were monsters in every one of them, but that you have the potential to be. So operating under that, I think she's at worst one of the 3 best in the world. So I'm just assuming that until she shows us otherwise, she's still that person.
And my logic for Chris kind of flies back in my face for Alnadra. And this is the reason why I had questions about her last year. I was like, not from running background, probably not one of the fastest full-on runners in this field. Like, how will she do in an event like this? and she gets second across the board.
Mhm.
So like the 5K ability on her, I mean, what do you think she gets in this? Like 7th, right? If it's a 5K, like behind Chris. But she just is so tough, really fearless, really good on the machines. So when it comes down to ski erg and the salt bike being a big factor, like she is going to put herself in that mix. So I think BK's right. We got to go off of what we've seen from her in previous races, and she should be good to go.
Yep. And even a 95% Alnadra is still gonna make worlds, and she'll have a few months to get back into peak shape if she wants to.
We should definitely see her time make the top 20 for sure.
Yeah.
You gonna do it, Rich? You gonna say it?
How fast can Meg Jacoby go?
Yeah. A year ago, maybe a little less, we said Meg sets the world record. I think I said Meg will set the world record in her first fit attempt.
I don't think we knew who she was a year ago. First
Maybe
time we saw her was October, I think.
Yeah. Maybe it was right after Worlds.
Yeah.
I said she's just going to be the world record. I think that was my take for the next year, is that Meg will be the world record holder. And I thought she would do it in her first attempt. Well, now we're here. And a lot of times you say something bold and spicy, and then the time comes around and you start to backtrack. I don't see any reason I'd backtrack on that. I still think she's going to set the world record this weekend.
Right now, the current world record, Jack, is what? It is
32:40 something.
32:40 and change. Yes, I believe that's right.
Yeah, last year, 32:44 by Tara. There have been a total of 5 women. Or last year, I don't have this year's stats ahead of me, but Alnadra, Lauren, Bridget, and Vivian have all broken 34. So you have 5 women under 34, only 1 under 33 so far. Tara's not here, and it's time for Meg to make 2 people on the list.
And Tara's her 5K, and that was a 19:05. And everything across the board, like her major weapon is the assault bike, where she was 153 with transitions. So you figure that's like a 140, 141 spending time on that. And like Meg does not spend a ton of time on that thing, and she doesn't love the assault bike and feels like she needs to get better at it. But she could do that. She could do 140.
What'd she do during her Deka mile?
I'm actually not sure. That's a good question. I think it's around that, though. It's closer to 2 than it is not.
If you're going sub 2 on the women's side, that is a very, very solid time, because you see some women who are on there 2.5, 3 minutes, and it's like, oh my God, like you're losing so much time.
What is currently the longest hybrid event in mainstream hybrid sport?
The 24-hour race brain?
Once we get that, but right now, like, it's High Rocks, right?
High Rocks, for sure.
So who's the world record holder there?
Connor McGregor thing.
Yeah, 3KO.
Meg Jacoby. What's the shortest one?
Deka Strong.
Does Deka Strong count?
Who's the world record holder there?
Carly Wopat.
And who was prior?
Tara.
And who was the world champ?
Tara.
And then Meg had mile.
Meg has mile still. She's broken her mile record this year, and she won the mile world championship last year.
Okay, so we have this. She's the best at the longest and the best at the second shortest. So I have to think that her middle ground's going to be every bit as good as either one of those. So what it comes down to is the only person that, or I guess there's 2 people in this field that can claim to be better at something than her, and that would be in the strong. They will have to crush the stations to maximize their ability, because in theory, DEKAFIT is actually her best event, just on paper with time domain and demands of it. So if she's already the 60-minute champ and she's already the 20-minute champ, she should be the 30-minute champ, right?
You would think.
You're basically saying you can run a half marathon, you can run a 5K. Almost, actually, that's pretty accurate time-wise. It's like
you have the world record in both.
You better be good at the 10K.
Your 10K should be all right.
Yeah, and if there's a great mile 3K runner in there, then their only chance is to outkick you.
Yep.
And that's basically what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to machine her, maybe?
They would have to
Like assault bike.
I mean, maybe
Balls?
I think it's just potential tactical error in terms of strategy, going out too hard. Not being ready for this type of, because I mean, you can really fall apart in a 20-minute race.
It's not that she can't lose, because anyone can get beat on any given day, especially in a hybrid. It's that if you had to design someone who should set the world record, or at least has the ability to do it in their debut, you would have designed Meg, the person who has the world record in the shorter and longer distance.
You have the bookends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still going to be nasty to try to put it together and do it, but she has all the tools.
The thing that I like seeing in this field for Meg specifically going after world record, you have an Olympic trials level runner, Laura Cummings, not level, like she actually has done it. Laura Cummings is in there. You have Bethany McChesney, super fast. Michelle Navarro, I think she was in the low 18s for a 5K recently. Chris always goes out fast. Vivian as well. Like, you're going to have people out with her. She's not going to break away right away. I know that we sometimes see Lauren already have a 10-second gap after the lunges right away and just kind of hang there. But Lauren had Nicole go with her when she ran really fast earlier this year. I think you're going to have a lot of people willing to go out pretty hard because they know this might be my only shot to get a top 20 qualifying time. And some people might run faster than me in Orlando if I'm not going to go. So I just need to go for it.
And what Meg has in her back pocket is that she is an endurance athlete and has done endurance races for a long time. So she knows she doesn't have to be winning. Sometimes in these hybrid events, you see people, they feel like it's like they need to be winning. Like Rylan at High Rocks at DEKA World Championships last year. It was like he had to be in front, right? Like there wasn't this like wherewithal to know how much is coming and how his fitness will put him where he belongs. If people are going crazy in the first 2 or 3 stations, Meg's so dialed in with her fitness and herself as an athlete, she's going to know what's right and what's not right. Like that's maybe an area that could happen. Like someone could pull her out, but if someone pulls her out, she's going to outlast them anyway.
Yeah.
Right. That would be the only way. Like her time might not be what we might think, is if it turns into like a bloodbath early for everybody. But she has that ability and like that experience to know where she should be. Like if Meg has a hole, it's like a workout that would be like a Fran, like a 2 to 5 minute workout, right? Where someone like Lauren Weeks would always have an advantage over her in that, like that high end explosive ability, maybe a DEKA strong even in this case, but it ain't 30 minutes. That's not a hole.
Well, and we've said several times that the way to run the fastest time in any form of DEKA is to take the lead somewhere between like a third of the way and 2/3 of the way into the race. You want to get as far in as possible with someone to chase and work off of, and then make a move and just run away with it. At the point of the race where it should be getting the worst, if you're moving into the lead and dropping someone, that gets you through that point. So having these women here, like with Carly and Lauren alone, Carly and Alnadra alone, she's not going to be leading by a ton for the first 3 to 4 stations, in theory, because they can put out so well. And with the runners out there, she's not going to have to lead the first run or two. And so she should, in theory, be set up for a really fast time because she won't have to even worry about being alone and starting to deal with those mental demons for close to half the race. In theory.
Realistically, though, if you're another woman in the field and you find yourself in first place after 3 stations, like if you're in first with a decent lead over Meg after the box jump overs, or like you're going to have a rough second half.
I'm killing it.
Like,
Go Riker. That's the Riker strategy. It's like, you see Ryan Kent at that starting line? Don't care. Watch this.
Altitude, whatever.
Fake. It's not even
it's
real.
Not real. Yeah.
Well, and what stations do you actually have to sell out on here? You've done the most, Rich. What stations require like a sellout go to the well? Is there 2?
And they're probably not the ones that you would expect. I think the sellout stations are like the ball overs and the tank.
Yeah,
right?
And it's
like
end of the race.
End of the race. You can't if you sell out anywhere else, you're not gonna make it.
Only other option is bike.
I'm gonna take the other side. I don't think you necessarily need to sell out on the stations, because if you do, you're going to lose time on some of the runs. I think it's be intentional with your runs coming off some of the stations, not necessarily the stations themselves.
And I'm only saying bike because we've seen someone be successful with selling out on the bike. It's worked in the past, not for a full fit.
A fit is hard. A fit is like, it can get you back in, it can blow your race up and get you back into a race, but there's a lot of time after.
Anyway, point being, there's not a power output station where she's going to have to worry about, I have to just blast this or I lose.
Yes.
She doesn't have to. She can feather the throttle all day long.
But she can also do 100 wall balls unbroken at the end of her. I feel like power output's not going to...
I'm talking true power.
Okay.
Like Corning trying to put out 30 seconds on the bike or whatever. You don't have to do that in a fit. Even the sled push, we've seen her lose ground on the push before. There isn't a high rock sled push here.
No. No, like Ryan Kent has done a good job of kind of weaponizing the ram burpees. It's only 65 to 75 seconds of time to actually sell out. So I don't know.
He's making it a true track race when he does that. Like last 400 kick,
sitting and kicking. Meg has said to me before she thinks that she could be better at Deka than at High Rocks, and I was like, man,
I believe it.
I think you're right. We'll
find out.
We're gonna find out. Let's talk
about
other
names. A couple other names on the list. How do you think Carly Wopat's gonna do?
I was just gonna bring that up, Jack. Synergy, buddy.
Synergy.
We're on that length.
How do you think Carly Wopat's gonna do, boys?
Damn, BK, that's a great question, man. I haven't been thinking about that. I think that she seems like an athlete who would do that. I need to be winning. I need to be aggressive. I need to be with the front of the pack. But after seeing her at Grit Games, I think that she's going to have a little bit more restraint. She was wearing like a heart rate monitor during that thing. She has a good coach of Ryan Geiger, who is like
he'll be here. He's not on the list, but
is he gonna run pro?
Yeah, I'll give you the other names you're missing. There are about 30, and I see Matt Carroll 23, so a couple missing.
Okay, great. Jack's got that info. I think I got info. Jack's like, well, actually, if anyone has info here, it's me. I'm the one with info. But I think that she will really be controlled on her runs. We might not see her on the runs almost at all. I think that she will do really and like save herself to capitalize where she can, because her I don't know. What do we think? Her run might compromise her station much more than stations compromise her station, is why we've seen her do so well in a Deka Strong. But with this 5K of running in between, it might really hurt her station work. So I would imagine she's going to be fairly conservative on runs. So we might not really see her play much of a factor into the race. She might end up in a really strong position by the end, but I don't know if it's going to be a Meg Jacoby Carly Wopat battle.
I wonder. I think every point you made is valid.
Thank you.
And watching, to your credit, watching her on Grit Game, I felt the same way. This makes me think she's going to be much better at a full DEKAFIT than I thought she would have been. Especially, well, one, because she paced it well and just looked competent running, compromised. But the second is that I think to someone who doesn't practice burpees are one of the most destructive compromisers known to man. And they're designed to hurt someone like her. It's just not the exercise you would pick for her to be successful at. And so I don't know if there's anything in Deka that would actually compromise her running as much as that test did with the burpees. So I think that's like her floor with compromised running. So I think she'll actually do better at a full DEKAFIT than she did in that burp, whatever number it's called.
Burp 400. To be fair, 400. Do you think
sense.
that a volleyball player would practice burpees? That seems like a thing on the floor, especially beach volleyball. Getting down, getting back up quick. I mean, from a body composition standpoint, just height, how much like time she needs to spend getting up and then down. But she's so strong. And that's where in the burp 400, she did well in the burpees. Like her running was very controlled, very, very controlled. But her burpees were consistently like the effort seemed consistent. Consistently consistent.
Good points.
Yeah. I think that's a great like up and down off the sand. That's a good one, Rich. I think that
thank you.
these are weighted burpees at the end, ram burpees, and it's like a paper towel roll to her. Like
for
22
the
pounds.
women,
It's
they
too
need
light.
to do 33s.
Should be
22 is
33.
ridiculous. For
The
Carly,
standard
she's
70% reduction. Yeah.
It might leave her hands as it goes over her head. It might she might just bring it up so, like slips or something.
Yeah. We have actually seen a handful of races where like burpees have made the difference between third versus fourth and fifth on the women's side this year. So I think she'll probably have the running legs in her? I don't know. I think that she could probably scale up to Deka mile and do pretty well. I see a lot of similarities with someone like Kevin Gregory, where definitely a factor no matter who shows up. Deka strong, Deka mile still made the elite 12 last year. I think he might have been right around fifth or so. Like he could put out, because like while he just has so much power on that bike and just cranks through the burpees at the end. I feel like a lot of similarities with Carly right there. I just think once suddenly you have an extra minute of running 10 separate times, that's when the gap's going to be created. And not to say there should be a non-factor, but I don't think that this is necessarily her event, but there is a reason she's traveling from California. She clearly thinks she can do well at it.
That or she's loaded.
Volleyball
point's a good one.
Thank you.
You're making a lot of good points today. I guess I like it.
My cup is full after that camp. My brain is good. I'm drinking coffee.
But it's highly anaerobic. You're hitting the ground one time, pop up, sprint, rest, dust yourself off, recover. Like a long rally, you're hitting the ground twice, maybe 3 times. That up, down, up. What is she, 6'2"?
I think she's 6'2".
Like what for a guy that's like 6'8"?
Maybe,
right?
Maybe, I don't know.
So like, are you picture a 6'7", 6'8" guy having to get up, down 20 times.
Jack, who's the tallest guy with the best DEKAFIT time? The tallest man ever.
Yeah.
Tallest man ever.
What do you think Bol could do in a DEKAFIT?
Robert Wadlow, how good is he doing?
I bet he'd be pretty good on box step overs.
Just literally step over.
Anyway, I think she's going to do well.
Yeah. Does she get on the podium, you think, with this stack field?
No.
I don't know who's going to be on the boat because someone's left off.
We're going to need to make those predictions, though.
I'm going to hedge my bets like always. She can.
No doubt. She could either be on the podium or not be on the podium.
It can be nice and vague, just like usual.
Well, I'm giving Meg first, no matter what. Because I'm saying she sets the world record. So that kind of eliminates her from any other place. So I think that Carly's anywhere from 2nd to 5th.
From 2nd to 13th.
I think 5th is a blow up. I think she can close to 2nd.
We haven't mentioned Vivian Tufuto almost at all. And I think this might just be the thing for Viv is that we are just not talking about her, and she's just going to go out there and bust that ass.
I hope
she's the Chad Trammell of hybrid racing.
BK, is that true?
I don't know if I'm qualified to make that. I don't know her well enough. Chad's more than just
in terms of notoriety. It's like she'll finish 5th at Worlds, and like everyone talks about how someone finished outside the top 5, but they forget to highlight her performance and stuff.
Yeah, maybe.
And
I think it's a compliment to her.
Yeah.
There we go. I mean, I think that if I would pick Vivian for 2nd here. Like, I think Vivian's a lock on this podium. She
should be.
She just continues to get better and better. She knows how to work hard. She knows where she needs to spend her time. She is closer to a hometown race than the Yinzers. She's from Central PA, like Harrisburg area. Hershey, in fact, where they make chocolate. You heard of it? Hershey?
Where they make track meets.
There's that's our cross-country states out there.
I went to Hershey World.
Yeah, did you?
Yeah, when I was like 7 or 8, my family took a road trip down to visit my cousins in Fredericksburg, Virginia, and we stopped by on the way.
It's not that. It's fine. You get a little bit of chocolate at the end. It smells great. At the cross-country, the Pennsylvania State cross-country meet is in Hershey. Like it's like I said, it's central enough to get both sides there in a reasonable amount of time. And the newer course, I don't know if it's still the one that they race, but it has a couple of really gnarly hills, and at the top of the actual course itself, you can smell the chocolate coming from the Hershey plant, and it smells delightful. But just at the bottom of this hill, It's like a sewage plant that smells exactly like doo-doo. So like you get, depending on how the wind's blowing, it smells like chocolate or like poop. So
it smells like chocolate or the other type of chocolate.
Or double chocolate. Chocolate cross-country course.
That is inside information that you don't get on any other podcast.
No.
People from Pennsylvania want to hear this stuff. Vivian's coming through, hometown-ish race for her. Yeah, and it's actually more west. This is a homecoming for her. She's not going to disappoint. She's going to come and bust skulls.
Yeah, you're mentioning hometowns. If you look at that list, you feel like 15 different states there. So you've got athletes traveling, which to me, I typically when I'm looking at this, if I want to, even without looking at the names who are on there, I look at how many different states there are, because that means people are probably traveling to do this, and you're doing it for a reason, because you're probably wanting to get a top 20 time or so. So the fact that there are that many, there's that big of a variety, even without knowing the names that were showing up, you can tell this is going to be a deep race.
It's funny you say a lock for the podium, because I think there are 4 locks. 4 people that
do.
If you didn't see the rest of the list, if you just flashed up a name and said, will she make the podium? You'd be like, yeah, Alnadra will make the podium. Yes, Meg will make the podium. Yes, Chris will make the podium. Yes, Vivian will make the podium. I think there are 4 locks. And then you have a wild card with Carly. Just can she extend out to this? But 4 locks, as those British announcers like to say, and 4 into 3 does not go. It doesn't. You're going to have a lock left out.
Who says that?
At world championships in the distance races, as soon as it gets down to 4 athletes, they're always like, there are 4 left and 4 into 3 does not go.
Have you ever busted that one out on some commentating?
No.
Is anyone on this? Are you guys involved in this one?
Mm-mm.
Who's on the mic?
Not that I'm aware of.
I'll look it up.
I assume you've replaced us now.
Oh, that's true. Somebody give me a lapel mic, and I'm just going to be out there talking that mess. Like, who's the best mic'd up athlete of all time? Like a Ray Lewis
athlete? Probably
like
Phillip Rivers.
He does talk that mess. Like a Kevin Garnett, we just never know what he's actually saying.
And you can air everything Phil says.
He's keeping it clean. He's keeping it PG. Is he going to be
on the list for anything left?
We've got Xander Keane and Luke Halterman who are on the mic for.
Nice. Big fan of Xander.
Dave Claxton and Shan Powell are going to rabbit.
Am I on the list for anything? I need to check my calendar. Do the work for me.
Savage Dallas, October 7th. Same exact day as OCR Worlds. So
locked in.
Wait, I'm doing Savage, not OCR Worlds?
Correct. Savage, Florida, 11-11 in the championship.
Yeah, you got to do better.
That's all I've got you at.
Who's on OCR Worlds? Am I on that list? Do they just put people on it? And then you just get told?
Well, you're busy, so that's why.
That's true. I got to check. Yeah, I'm going to check my schedule, and it's looking.
Jack, are you doing OCR Worlds?
I'm doing the 15K, but I just realized that's the same exact day as Cirrus Arena.
Down or wrong.
Yeah.
It's the same day as what?
Cirrus.
Stadium race. Jack is back, baby.
Oh, yeah.
He's out there running. He's already clipping those miles off. He's going to be ready to rock.
CrossFit 5K on the way back.
Yep. Yep. Were you like blown up? Were your calves sore? Were you like
mechanically? I felt like you know how you'll see like a giraffe just plop up, and it's like, all right, now you got to run right away. You were born 6 seconds ago. Good luck. And that's kind of how the first mile went. It was like
all compromised.
Everything was amniotic fluid.
That was sweat and sunscreen, I guess. But
yeah. All right, let's move on to the dudes. So in High Rocks,
Rich, who are you picking for the podium then?
I'm picking Meg, Alnadra. Oh no, Meg, Vivian, and I'm gonna go with Chris to finish it.
You're putting Alnadra off the podium.
Meg, Vivian, Alnadra for me. 1, 2, 3. Chris 4.
I'm going to take
4 does not go to
order
3.
Meg, Alnadra, Vivian. I'm sorry. No.
Look at this
Chris,
guy.
Alnadra, Vivian. Meg's going to choke.
There we go.
All I did was sing her praises all episode about how she's going to break the world record. So I got to break form here.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna have to fight both of them after.
She's gonna miscount her laps or something.
I bet she could do a couple extra on this and still be all right. And deck is easy. Deck is not high
Yancey
rocks.
there too.
It's measured out. It's good to go. It just makes sense. Especially, it makes sense when you're out there too. You're like, oh, I know where I need to. Like, even if you're kind of confused, you're just like, oh, here we go.
Anyone who has kids knows that, like, up until a certain age, they sprint everywhere. Like, they get up from the couch, they sprint to the living room, they sprint to the bathroom, they sprint back. The first deck I was at, I realized that's still Yancey Culp. Everywhere he is at a DEKAFIT, he just like starts clapping, pumping his fist, and takes off and books it to the next spot. No matter what his task is, even if it's not time sensitive, he is at least at 5K stride or faster everywhere he goes all day long.
Why do you think
Guy's
he can break
motor
60?
blew me away.
That's why he can break 60 in a
true.
400.
He's like, it's like that the cold bar technique. Have you heard that, where you just have like a bar set up for bench or deadlift that you can do cold, like, and you just do it, and it's like frequency training. You just do it over. That's Yancey getting for that 400. Just
that's right. I believe that's called grease in the groove, right, Bracken?
Grease in the groove.
Grease in the groove.
To steal a running public term.
Cold bar training is what I did back when we lived in Lake Geneva, and I had my weights set up in our detached, uninsulated garage.
Oh, you would do it? You just walk out there and then you'd be too cold and have to go back in?
I had to bundle up.
Yeah.
Couldn't even touch the bar in winter without a pair of gloves on or mittens.
All right. We're on to the dudes.
On to the dudes.
So in High Rocks, Houston, I was headed down there, and that was... It was the first race after North American Championships. I was super soured for sure. And I got my heat time, and it was saying I was in the second heat. And I was like, the High Rocks people, you got to be kidding me. Like, the disrespect that I'm feeling is so immense. And then when I registered, I realized that my browser had auto-populated my wife's name into the registration. So I had to get that fixed on day of, because they're like, who is this person? I did the same thing for this race here. My name is Richard Remmer on this list. And so this is me.
Oh.
So I am signed up.
I probably wouldn't have put you in Heat 1.
I'm not in the Heat 1 situation now. I did reach out to customer service. They said, yeah, they got me flipped. They even not even Richard. It's just Rich. Old Rich Ryan's going to be on the list there. So Jack, do you think you don't think you would have put this together, Jack?
No, I would have been like Arvada, Remmer,
Arvada. You wouldn't be like, who's this from Arvada?
2 days after St. Patrick's, or on St. Patrick's Day, like
2 days.
My brother's birthday is March
every
15th,
year.
so that's why I was saying 2 days after. But
there's only so many palindromes from Colorado that would show up to a hybrid race.
That's true, and you wouldn't have to know. And you know, my wife, she's from New Hampshire. She goes to Market Basket.
Yeah. You know, honestly, I might just, if High Rocks Europe is willing to pay me enough, I can put you in Heat 2.
That would be amazing.
What's RMR training?
TBA.
Rich, Meg, Ryan.
Yep. That's
something like that.
That's what we're talking about. Or Remmer.
Remmer training.
Remmer.
Yep. All consonant training.
It could just be, all consonant training. We were looking at it. We were thinking about, like, if it armor, like that could be a thing. We say it without the without the vowels. That would be. It was something. I mean, we were kicking it around, but we're just.
Or you could just who's that guy? The world super athlete. You remember that guy we were talking about on the group chat?
Nick Barrett.
No, there was a different guy in the fantasy football.
Oh yeah, that major goofball.
Yeah,
major.
Just do whatever
goofball.
He's doing, and
run. I ran a mile a day, and had to go to the doctor.
I run like a toddler.
I'd call it Rammer.
The Rammer.
Rammer training.
That's a drink. If you pour just like vodka into wine, that's called a Rammer.
Is it? Okay.
What other degenerate drinks would you like to know about? Okay, so I'm on this list, Jack. Do not keep me off. I got CS on. I'm CS on it. They're going to change it around. We're going to see a lot of people for the first time this year as well. I will be there. Nick Riker, we have seen a couple times. Dave Magida, we have not seen. We have not seen Dylan Scott run this race. Is Jared on your list?
Newbie? I do not see him. That's kind of surprising.
I believe I'm fairly.
I'll ask him.
Fairly certain is not appropriate, right? Right, English people, the English majors, you can't be fairly certain, right? You're either certain or not.
Yeah, I think you can. You can be fairly accurate.
It's like, you can be, because that's your jam right there. That's absolute fence sitting. If I've ever heard it. Yeah. I don't think you can be fairly certain.
Or jumbo shrimp. It's like, really? Doesn't make sense.
Oh, no, jumbo shrimp makes sense.
What was the first one you said?
By definition, means you're small.
Yes, but on the scale of shrimp, they go small to large.
A small giant? Is that a thing? Yeah.
Well, like, what would the tallest little person in the world be considered in
I'm going to let you handle this one.
They'd be considered tall.
It can be a jumbo shrimp, a big crustacean. Try to get the like. Okay. What about a
semi-boneless? Is worse because boneless implies there's no bone in it.
Yes. Do people say that? Semi-boneless?
I've never heard of that.
It would say that on like chicken wings and stuff, and it's like, dude, what are you doing?
That's just a disclaimer. Like
that means that we know we missed some.
Yeah, you might. Yeah.
They're just doing this as like
a really poor quality.
Yeah, just terrible quality control.
Yeah.
And so that's. I thought that Jared Newby was coming down. There's going to be a new Sanity contingent out here, and I thought he was part of it. So if he shows up, that'll be his first DEKAFIT as well. So the people we have not seen are myself, Magida, and Dylan, who are returning from the top 12. Anybody I'm missing on that?
Newby will be a good addition to the field. Got to assume he can move. He can spin that flywheel.
That's for sure. I mean, in terms of machines, just with his size, strength, and engine, he would probably be the strongest out of it. But Magita's good on the machines. Dylan's obviously good on the machines. Your boy's been putting in work. So, But I would be interested to see, because Jared was impressive with his running at Grip. He was kind of running away from people in that last event, and he said he was feeling comfortable throughout it. It just turned into a dead hand contest, and if you're going against Austin Azar in a dead hand contest, you lose.
Yeah.
That's just how it works.
Hands are ripped or not ripped. Doesn't matter.
Everyone's hands are ripped. Hands are burnt to a crisp.
Yeah. I think that there are actually a few names on this list who are going to be dangerous. I know that you were mentioning the athletes who now will likely end up in the top 20 because they don't have a mark so far. But it's not as deep necessarily as the women's race, but it's still a pretty stacked race, honestly. Mark Paulzine, we've seen him podium in the past.
Paul Z. Fontaine.
The what?
Mark Paul Z. Fontaine. Hammers that bike and he sends it.
Let's do it. Yeah, so he's solid. We've seen Joseph Cotto. He's impressed this whole year. Savage race.
Is it Cotto?
Kodo.
Is it Kodo?
It's got to be.
Is it the Lottery or the Lotto? Like Lottery? I don't know.
We can't apply
I'm just
normal
guessing.
Linguistics to names.
I'm guessing.
Jack.
Joseph
There's a famous boxer named Kodo, and I mentioned that on a Savage live stream, and I believe that one of his family members or friends commented, yes, it's Kodo.
Okay.
He either commented, yes, it's Kodo, or no, it's not Kodo.
All right.
So do with that what you will.
Joseph C., who's been really good this year.
Very impressive. He's sitting at 8th right now with 31:33 in his debut, right? And he was running Colin Stieford down. And Colin just
he was racing. Yeah.
Colin just did 2 really solid, he's like 17:11 or something like that in a mile. It's not updated. And then at 11:38.
11:28.
Strong. 28. Yeah. Faster than my time. Okay.
That's moving.
Really solid.
So yeah, they're
Echo bikes.
Yep. They're going to be dangerous. Michael St. George, we've seen him in the Stadium Series a while. I could see him getting in like the 33s, 32 highs. Isaac Sanderson, watch out for him. He's from Canada. I think he's been training with Rylan, or he lived with him for a little while. Somehow he's involved with Rylan. But last year at Kelowna, I think he was in the age group heat, and he finished like top 10 overall out of everyone. And he won the Utah Beast earlier this year by a good margin. Like he's fit. And I don't know. I just have a feeling if Rylan has been working with him that he's going to sneak up on some people and, just run a really solid time. So he's my dark horse to watch in this race.
I have a question about that.
Yeah.
We used to think that about Hunter and Hobie, that if people trained with them, they were going to like catch that magic. But because they both trained so differently from everyone else and had these genetic freakish gifts, they never had a training partner become like really anything on any stage, did they? And I wonder if Ryland's like that prototype, that going out and living the Ryland lifestyle, you come back and you're just like, it doesn't work for me.
You can't put it on paper.
Yeah. I'm basing my guess
He's good though.
on how well he's performed already.
Yeah.
And then picking up a couple of tips and like, here's what I do. So maybe you should, apply this to your rowing strategy and stuff like that. That's what I think is going to help him out.
We've seen him do well in OCR.
Yes, exactly. And then a couple other names that are not on this list at the moment. Jack Driscoll, who just did Rally in the Valley. He's making his debut. I don't think that has he done a High Rocks, or he's never done DEKAFIT as far as I'm aware.
I'm not sure if he has done a High Rocks. I don't believe he's done. I actually can't say for sure. But yeah, he did well in rally, one rally, and he was, I think, second at Battle Bunker East Regional, second or third.
Yeah.
Right.
He's strong. I remember we were looking up and there was some guy who had like a 500-pound squat and a 5-minute mile separately. And I think that was him.
He's one of those guys. Yeah. I think like a 3-hour marathon.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think he's the real deal.
For sure.
I don't know necessarily compromised how he'll do. We haven't seen him do that yet, but metric wise, he should do well. And then Max Fennell, he's running the 33s, I believe. He'll be coming over from California. Ryan Geiger, who I mentioned.
Nice.
He made Deka Strong World Championship last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was in the 11s.
Talk about someone who can hammer the bike, man. He could probably throw out 100 RPMs come off not compromised.
Lower his heart rate.
Feeling good. Yeah, like
he was a
can
former
really
pro cyclist,
hammer.
I believe.
Yeah, like legitimate cyclist.
And he trains Carly. Is that who does? Yeah.
And maybe Calypso too, I'm not sure.
Yeah. So anyway, Ryan's going to do well. And Lawrence Taylor, he ended up winning a race for Spartan Race recently. He's done pretty well in the 3K series.
I swore he gave you that work, but you beat him in West Palm.
Yeah, I'll look it up. Yeah.
I can't look it up. It doesn't. It only gives you like the top freaking 3 or 4 in these things.
And then the last guy, this guy Gerard Sclafani. He was a runner at Monmouth University. That's in New Jersey, right?
Monmouth University. Yep.
Yeah, he was a 16:08 5K guy. So he ran that at the 2017 Lehigh Games. So there's your Lehigh Valley right there.
But what 5K runner?
16:08
in college.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he also, it said that he went to some Army high school, so he's probably done a decent amount of strength work through the years.
So he's probably been hazed.
That's not what I'm saying.
That's what you're saying.
Yep.
We've seen him somewhere else as well. I've seen that name. I think it maybe in High Rocks. I've seen it.
Okay.
And doing fairly well. So that's cool. That's a good addition as well.
Yeah, but they're like a solid number of fringe athletes who are not on the list, who could be fighting for a spot in Heat 1.
Fighting for that coveted Jack Bauer.
Coveted. Yeah.
He's gonna stick you into Heat 1. He's not even talking about who's gonna do well. Jack's running this through his own brain. Who he's gonna give the heat to.
Look, if there are 30 people, probably 3 separate heats, it's gonna be tough to make with the names that I'm seeing on here.
All right, headlines. BK, what do you got?
Nick Riker. I think we see him like fully ascend in this race. He's been like kind of a goofball on course for a few years, where he's fast enough that the everyman fears him, and enough of the front runner not quite pacing himself, and you kind of can count on his blow up enough that the top guys don't fear him. But he has gotten so steadily better and better and better. And I think he's primed for a really big race here, actually. So I think he's going to take some legitimate scalps. And I think we're going to see the most consistently paced Riker we've ever seen.
He has done a much better job in DEKA. I think DEKA has taught him a lesson in pacing, where his background before this, where he found success, was OCR, where pacing is just kind of, you throw that out the window. It's like, you got to be around, you just kind of run absurd and everybody grinds to a halt. and Nick ends up being there, and
that's a great description of OCR.
Yeah. And Nick's tough enough to get through it, and like with the slowing and the up and the undulation is really solid for him. So he kind of brought that mentality into DEKA when he first started, and it didn't work out so great for him. But at the tail end of last season and at the beginning of this year, with this 30-32 that he has on the leaderboard, he's the 4th overall time right now. He just did his own thing. I think this was in the race that he got second in too, right? Was this when the race that Ryland won? I forget where that was.
I don't think he was in that one. I thought that he won like Knoxville.
I think he did win Knoxville, but I think that he was in a race with Ryland as well, and he took second. It was him.
Austin,
it was
maybe?
Ryland, Anas, and Riker win a race.
Okay.
And Anas went out with Ryland, and Riker ended up kind of catching him.
Yeah.
Toward the very back end.
I think that might have been Austin then.
It may have been Austin.
Yeah.
Yes, I believe you're correct.
Regardless, I think this is the race that asserts Riker as a legitimate force.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. I mean,
true.
To say he's not a legitimate force is a kind of discrediting him a little bit because of he is the 4th time right now. He does race fairly well, but it's like this year he could be poised to make that jump to that next level because he is maybe in terms of like if he broke it out into tiers from DEKA the previous, especially after his performance at World Championships where he was off a little bit. He's consistently in that like maybe that second pack, but I think he could ascend to the top of that pack and even make the jump into the high end pack where I wouldn't be surprised if he's pushing 29 mids to 29 low. Like I think he has that ability in him.
Yeah. Well, I think prior to this year, people would have said, yeah, Riker, yeah, he's good. Yeah, he's good. But I don't think that they would have said he's a force yet. Okay. I don't think he would have appeared on someone's radar who their goal was to maybe be on a podium at Worlds at the end of the year. And I think this race changes that mindset about Riker. We all knew he was good, but we just assume he hasn't done all the consistency pieces yet. He hasn't gone all in. He hasn't paced it right. And he's so goofy afterwards. He'll laugh and joke. He's self-deprecating, and that kind of added to that aura of like, whatever. I'm gonna have fun, and I'll probably blow up. He plays into that, but I think this race changes him from good to like this kid is really good.
He's gone from regionally dominant to a legitimate athlete on the world scene, or I guess US scene for the most part for DEKA. So I think he's already there at this point. I think once he proved he could slow down and he had a good race and he acknowledged that's why he had a good race, he's not going back.
I'm going to put him in a headlock and give him a little noogie. That's what I'm going to do. Brad, does that feel
how much
worse
do you think he's going to
without
brag?
Hair?
He's a teacher right now. How much do you think he's going to brag to all of his students? Like, oh yeah, guess what I did this weekend, kids?
I asked him what he was teaching. He said science. He's like in 8th grade. I'm like, yeah, well, like what? Like, just
science.
Science? Like what? Like he's like, I don't know. I was like, okay.
Figure out when we get there.
We're talking about science here. I'm like, great.
Exercise science, or
just not like the chemistry or like earth science. Like,
there's a textbook. Science. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll just open that thing up and just let him know. That's another thing too. Like he's told me that this job is much less stressful than his previous job, right? Like he's coaching I think he's coaching cross country, middle school cross country. So like I think that that's a factor in athletic performance is just like obviously stress levels and how fulfilled you're feeling as like a human being in general. And so that could be working in his favor. This is his first competition since changing jobs. So that'll be interesting. I think he has like that could only be in his benefit, I believe.
He had a great facility. That's one thing he loses us. I assume his school won't have the facility that D1 had.
That D1 didn't even have a ski erg. They charge like $1 gazillion like a week.
They didn't have a ski erg, huh?
They didn't even have a freaking ski erg.
But I always trained and raced very well as a teacher. It's a good
you went to that
schedule.
Facility, right? Weren't you there?
Yeah, I was there.
You were impressed, apparently.
It was a nice facility. Yeah.
You don't look for ski ergs the first thing you do when you walk into a gym?
Now I do. I didn't then.
Now? Okay.
I've got one at my gym now, and in like the
Jack's
past month,
fired
I've
up
made
about
some serious strides now that I'm using it regularly.
Yeah, the school environment is conducive to getting good workouts in and training with your kids as well, you get good volume in as a teacher, coach.
Right. Yeah. You work like you got to wake up early, but then you're done at like what time? Like 2?
Yeah. And if you're coaching, you run with the kids
4.
and on your prep, you can work out and, like jump in with some of the classes that are going on. There's always gym classes going on, phys ed, whatever you want to call it.
I bet Bracken obviously calls it Phi Ed, but I bet Riker calls it Phi Ed too. If I had to guess.
He's a Cubs guy.
Yeah, totally. I like it. I'm rooting for him. Gonna put him in a headlock. Either way, doesn't matter. Metaphorically and literally, I'm gonna see him, put him in my armpit.
Could you take Riker in a fight?
Yeah, I think he would scrap. I think it'd be fun. But yeah.
This is like the least confident you've ever been in a fight, Rich. Like you were taking on 14 against 1 before, and now you're like doubting yourself versus Riker.
Every European at one time,
sure,
it's a wrap, an absolute wrap. But Riker, I bet he could scrap. I'd win, but
he's the Mendoza line for a reason.
He's the Mendoza line, and guys' asses you could kick as well.
And I think he leaves that behind. I think he's no longer the Mendoza line after this weekend.
That's the headline right there.
There it is.
It is no longer
Mendoza,
the Riker line. There's a new Riker line set after this weekend. We'll see who's
the new one.
We don't know yet. No. Jack, what's your headline?
I think it's how good is this Rich Ryan guy? We saw him
Richie
win one
Remmer.
big race. Rich Remmer. I don't even know who he is. Richard Remmer. But yeah, we've seen Rich Ryan run a couple of races, not crack the top 15, had a hard time right before DEKA World Championship last year, and his lead up. Like, what are we going to see from him? I'm confident you're going to make the top 20, but what type of shape are you in? And are you just going to give everyone the business and remind them you're the champ for a reason?
Is he even good? We've seen him do it once. Ryan Kent, Rylan Shattuck, they got all wrapped up into each other, went out too hard. Richie Remmer was there to clean it up. But can he do anything else? Hasn't done well since.
There are athletes that I put stock in their results during the regular season, and there are athletes that I don't. And I think that Richard Remmer is the type of athlete who peaks well and requires things to be clicking in training and coming together in order to even believe that I'm capable of my highest. He doesn't strike me as an athlete who likes jumping into things and just, let's see how it goes. He likes to be able to see all the training blocks lead into something. And so whether he takes first or fifth here, it truly doesn't matter to me. I think he just needs his ticket in, because then we find out when it all comes together who he really is.
I think Richard Remmer does not care about his fitness on August 26th. I think he's looking at December 3rd. That's the only date that really matters in his mind.
I'm looking at Madrid, dude. I'm like
September 23rd.
September 23rd. Yeah. All my chips are pushed in. Race brain might end on the 24th. And we can't.
You should sell some race brain shirts while you're over there. See if anybody wants them.
They'll be I should hand.
They'll be marching through the streets, burning race flag effigies.
I'll just hand them out to the competitors since they're such big fans. No, yeah, like my fitness is definitely better than it was previous years. Like last year for this, like last year, Bracken, that was right. Like there was one race that I cared about, and I wasn't going to be prepared until that race. This year's a little bit different because of the expedited timeline in High Rock, but I'm not going to be super sharp for this race in terms of this type of feeling. But my fitness is really strong. Like my machines are better. My running is not much worse. It's probably pretty close to where it was at. Like all my metrics in terms of fitness and like my consistency has been great are equal or better than where it was in last November. But just like the spiciness of this race, I've not sprinkled any of that spice in too much. I think like
you
here
went
there.
sub 12 DEKA strong already though, right? This year?
No, I did. No, I haven't done DEKA strong since.
Oh, okay.
I'm on the list because I did one after the cutoff. Before Worlds last year.
After last year, September.
I haven't done a strong. I did a mile I PR'd my mile like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
So it's just gonna be about how spicy, how is it gonna feel. But I'm like, it's in there, but just like how that's gonna feel like the back piece. So I would expect Richie Remmer to be in the mix up front, but not hyper aggressive early. But and then just kind of managing it and seeing what I got.
I mean, who should be hyper aggressive early?
No. Look what happened in Palm Beach last year.
It's a 10K.
I was like, I'm winning the lunges. Yeah. Okay. Did you see me out of those lunges? Me.
Slipping his legs off to the side.
No, that I think I had cleaned it up. I think I had been, and this is a Ryan Kent thing, and people don't want to call him out. I got to take the fall for Ryan Kent. I'm just sitting here, just taking those blows for him. He can't take it, so I got to fucking sit there and be the punching bag for it. Step overs too. Step overs are clean. Step overs work. I'm going to see where I can fudge this race. Where's a good place where I could really kind of cut a corner here?
Wall ball overs.
How do you think I could do that?
Not fully like establishing feet on both sides.
Like a reach over and kind of, yeah. Is that advantageous?
I don't know.
I think it's a lot easier if you just grab one of the med balls for the sit-ups and just cover the 14 with your hand so that it gets a 20. Yeah.
Do you think I could, like, in my last, I get up, hit it, like launch it over to the...
Yeah.
So
the ball do something that won't draw suspicion, but right there.
I think as you run into the station, I think you should be knocking balls out of the way.
Actually mess with everybody else's stuff. I should come in, like, put everyone's seat like really high. Really high on the assault bike.
I think the wall ball is the easiest one to mess up.
Oh, yeah. Just come in and just start kicking and moving everyone's mats out of the way.
Yeah, just move stuff out of the way. Get on the bike, the one next to you, change the display a little bit.
Just tip it over.
I'm going to flip
that bike up.
I'm going to flip all the boxes to 30 when I walk in.
Yeah.
Great.
These are not bad ideas, boys.
Yeah.
These are not bad ideas. But I should be ready to go. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Fitness is strong. Feeling good.
You're prepared to do well.
Rich is all about you're the San Antonio Spurs. I think you just want to get in the playoffs, get a little rust off. December, that's your moment.
That's me?
Yeah.
Like, for you personally right now, a win
right.
would be great.
Yeah.
For December 3rd, barely sneaking into the fast heat would be best case scenario. Remove yourself from the radar again going in so that people fight their little battles up front.
Yeah, I was 7th going in last year. Right now, 7th is 31:30.
I mean, I can't see you being slower than 30-0.
Kent's time is 29:20, so I'm going to be at least 29:19.
Yeah, easy.
So
I'd be shocked if you don't break 30. Can it happen? Very easily, yeah. You just missed time one station. But...
yeah, I mean, I don't quite know. I don't know what the running is going to feel like. Like I said, it's like pretty good right now. If I screw up the footwear, okay, we're talking footwear now, Bracken. What do I got to do? What would you do? Out of the wall right now, what would you put on?
Since you're going to qualify no matter what, this is the one I'd take a chance on.
I'm thinking the Cielos.
Yeah.
The Hokas for that reason.
I'd test them out. Because what's worst case? You've had worst case, right? You had your Adios that didn't grip at all and you got in 7th.
Takumi Sens can't make it. The Takumi Senda with a D that VJ made, that could do the trick.
Is that what VJ wore in his race?
He wore the without the D. And then he took the bottom off and put a VJ bottom on.
He told me he thinks that he could have been 29.40 something instead of 30.0 something due to the footwear choice. He thinks that cost him 30 seconds, 30 seconds total.
Like on the sled, like it shows that. Yeah, his sled was like maybe 230. I think 220 high.
He had to literally put him on again. Remember, I don't know what Marion was wearing, Marion Von Rohr in High Rocks Europeans when her shoe fell off and she had to adjust it. Like, shoe choice does matter for sure.
Did you guys catch at the CrossFit Games? We talked about this on the CrossFit recap I had with the Omni People's Peeps that dropped, I think, on Friday. Alex Kazan in the last, there was the
Mm-mm.
alpaca race. She was like winning. She's really strong on her body. It was like a legless rope climb workout. And one of her like she had like a last sled push. It was at its heaviest. You had like load kettlebells back onto it, and then it got like heavier as it finished. She had like 5 meters left, and her shoe popped off. And this is like, then she took her other shoe off instead of like putting the shoe on, and she tried to push it. Then she took her socks off, trying to figure out. Sense. And then which would make sense over socks for sure.
On turf, right?
On turf, yeah. It was like a next turf or whatever. They like a regular turf field, and they made her put her shoes back on at some point because it's just like a safety thing. But man, is that race brain? Just put the other shoe on.
It's probably after the podcast.
I like though that her first reaction was a survivor. She stayed in fight mode. She just ripped the shoe off and got back. That's a good option if you're not pushing a sled.
Yeah.
But it's an aggressive option. It's messing up going 100 miles per hour.
Yeah,
that's what a coach likes to see.
That is for sure. I need a headline now. What kind of headline are we gonna do?
You just won't wear super shoes for this, will you?
I just can't see like how they would do on turns in any way. Like I can't imagine like doing, even with like the Hoka that is the Rocket X, or maybe the Pumas. Maybe the Pumas could work on this, but I just can't see the Fast R's.
Fast R's could. The other ones could. But I don't know. I want Deviate Nitro. I got to try the 2s.
Are they? They're not stacked as high?
The 2s are higher than the 1s, but they're not as high. They might be closer to the Fast R. I don't think they're as much as the Fast R. I ran that stadium with you. I ran in the Endorphin Pro 1s, and they were fine.
But they're not super. Maybe the Endorphin Pro. Maybe I'll bring the Endorphin Pro 2s or 3s.
I'd bring the 3s. I'd bring your RC Elites, and then I'd bring the Cellos.
I don't see the RC Elites working. The Hyperion Tempo. I know you hate it.
I don't hate it.
I know you're not interested in hearing about it.
No, I think it's great. It's the shoe I would have raced in back in the day before Super Shoes. The Hyperion 4s are coming out.
I think they're just calling them the Hyperion. They're dropping the Tempo and just calling it the Hyperion.
No. The Elite. Hyperion Elite 4, I believe, is coming out. I think 3 and/or 4 could be an option. The 4 bottom looks pretty nice for, if not for Deka, for Hyrox. I was on your Brooks account this week.
How would it go?
They're for pre-order on there.
You're just looking around. You grab anything?
Just looking, seeing what the deal was.
You just like to peek sometimes.
I like to stay up to date on things.
Window shopping.
So anyway, check out the 4s. Elite 4s. I think that's what I saw on there.
Their foam hasn't blown me away.
No, but the 3 was an improvement, and the 4 has to be better, right? They wouldn't keep being bad.
You wouldn't think so.
Would they, Brooks?
The regular trainers, I think they're the best option. They haven't done it in the super shoe market very well yet, though.
They improved their Catamount. The 2 is a very good improvement for the trail.
I haven't run on a trail on a Brooks in a minute. I used to have the Pure Grit. I wore those for OCR. They have like terrible lugs.
Oh yeah, those are bad.
I didn't know that they were bad, and I wore them at OCR World Champs. That time it was in Canada, where it was raining and muddy.
Oh,
I fell down a lot. A whole lot of falling down. All right, so for me, can Dylan Scott set the Dekadog 5,000 record?
Oh,
is he doing it?
I thought he said no.
He's definitely not doing it.
I don't think you should be allowed to play in the league if you don't serve your punishment.
Yeah, and our draft is this upcoming week, so
it is impossible to find anybody else to play. So we're going to give him a little bit of leeway.
And that goes for you guys as well with your last place in the league.
What last place?
Oh, they're supposed to fantasy fantasy
we're
OCR.
Gonna eat that pizza. Don't worry, we're gonna eat the pizza.
Yeah.
Jack, let's pick a date. Let's pick a date and.
I'm doing it after. I don't want to do this during this time of year.
Hyperion Elite 4, I think, is a real option.
Jack, how are you feeling? So you're gonna need
pull up the leaderboard.
Hang on to your top 20 spot.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel after this? Where do you right now at 15th for 32:21? How are you feeling leading into this race?
I know that I would have gone faster than 32:21 had I not stupidly got injured, but Dylan Scott, he'll get in there. Joseph Cotto's already on there. Mark Paulzine's already on there. Isaac Sanderson, he'll make it. Magida.
You're that confident in Isaac Sanderson that he will be faster than your time?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he will.
Okay.
Because I don't think 32:21 or whatever I got, that's not going to make it. I think I'll probably be 19th or 20th after this race. And then I'm going to need a little bit of help, especially Jarrett Newby shows up. Like, who's international, who might not end up racing it. I don't know if there's going to be a roll down. It seemed last year Mark Gaudet ran World's Toughest Mudder, and then Dade Collins got hurt. That's the only reason why I got a backfill. But I think because I was 14th and I ended up racing in the top 12 due to the roll down.
Right. Like if Ruben Vietes decides not to come over and Alphonse is good. Put him on an American course.
They also have a High Rocks European Championship that same weekend.
I'm not sure if Ruben he'll be on the fringes. Alphonse could make that Stockholm race.
Yeah.
He's the European Rich Ryan.
Can you repeat what you just said just so everybody over there heard it?
He's amazing. He's great.
Yeah. Alphonse is good.
Fantastic. He's actually really good. He's like kicking everyone's buns, and he beat them buns in High Rock or Deka Spain.
Beat the brakes off them.
Beat the brakes right off those dudes.
Yeah. But if we had to look at the list, like I'll probably be 19th or 20th after this weekend, realistically. And then who's missing? Who will show up to Orlando who hasn't done it yet? Or who's just outside the top 20 who might do it? Actually, look on the list. I think John Clark's ahead of me. He ran a race after.
I'm not telling you, BK. I tell you the dates of Dekas every week.
I like to stay updated on things.
It's still Marcus the 16th.
Marcus Wallace is somebody we could see in St. Louis because we have the Indiana and St. Louis races as well.
He's going to Roadshow.
Yeah, I believe he's doing Fort Wayne.
Yeah,
which
That's
is
next weekend, I think.
Fort Wayne, not Roadshow. Yeah,
it is a roadshow
thing. Oh, it is Roadshow.
It is. They're both roadshows, and those roadshows definitely count, right, Jack? For the Elite 20, I just don't think they pay out. Is that correct?
It still counts with the qualifier for fit.
Right, but you're just not making that cake.
He's going to crush.
He's going to crush. He's going to crush.
I think John Clark's going to probably do age group. I don't see him doing...
Yep, John Clark is 12th right now, so assume that he will stick age group because he's a real Triple Crown threat.
Yeah.
There's some... I think Ivan's in that age group for strong, so never mind. That dude's Ivan Milan. He's like monster. Unbeatable and strong.
Yeah, literally.
But John Clark will murder in fit and mile. Yeah, and then it's Ruben, Alphonse, maybe some of these other guys. Yeah, so who we're talking about.
Will Marcus get a strong in?
I think, yeah, he's planning on.
He'd be wise to do so, yeah.
He should do I think he has ability to break 30 in the full. I don't know if he will, but he has the ability to. But the mile and strong, he'll be even better at.
He should be a podium threat at the Worlds, at both of those.
Yeah.
He beat Colin in that Rogue Enduro challenge. It's all machines. And Colin he just did 11:28, and Marcus is a good athlete. Like there's some athleticism here.
Yeah.
When we talk about Deka, and Marcus has it.
I know I've said this before, but I think I'm in 30 mid shape. And he gave it to me. And I never could break away from him. I was aggressive that day, and I couldn't break away from him. Like, I couldn't do enough damage to him on the run.
You think you're in 30-30 DEKAFIT shape right now?
I do, yeah.
Why aren't you racing?
He forgets the days. There's no day.
Yeah, we're camping for the Fort Wayne one, and then there's TBD on the next one. I mean, everyone thinks they're in whatever shape, right? Yeah. But I think, like, realistically on a bad course or whatever, I'm 31 flat right now. And he gave it to me.
Yeah. He took your chain, took your RAM, sent you home.
Who knows? Maybe I'm not. But even if I'm wrong by a minute, if I'm a 31 mid guy right now, and he's significantly better than me.
Yeah.
Who else in that Midwest contingent could we see show up in Fort Wayne or St. Louis?
I don't know who there is that could make a splash like that. We've got
I don't know if he's
Who's that?
Logan Broadbent. I don't think he's interested in this style.
I don't think he's just, what about like Roman Krenikov?
Nick Riker could.
Well, he's already above. He's already up.
Who's the fittest in Nashville ahead of Nick? Maybe they should
Nick
show
is
up.
second fittest.
I know. Who's ahead of him?
Something Fisher. He's actually is a really good high roxy athlete. Or not high rocks, CrossFit athlete.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope you get a time in, Bracken, realistically, even if it's just mile or something. And do you think you'll...
I'll get one or two. We have a local one coming up. I think September 23rd, there's either a mile or a strong, 3 miles from my house.
Oh, do we have that, Jack? Do you have that, like the DEKA?
In fact, I think I just got a message about it.
They just...
The event schedule, Rich?
Yes.
Yeah, they have find an event on their website. I'll pull it up, but keep talking. You're mentioning Dylan. How about McGee?
No, that's a find event. They have they released some information about the World Championships.
They did. Yeah. It's on Zendesk. They gave 3,000, 2,000, 1,000, 500, 250.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, so the payout's about the same. I think it went to 5 last year, right, Jack?
I thought it was 3 because Ken
was
made
it only
9,000.
You might be right.
Was hoping to make 9,000.
You might be right. So they're stretching it out to 4th and 5th, which is nice. They are extending prize money to teams, 1,000, 600, 400 for DEKAFIT, DEKAStrong, and DEKAMile teams.
How much was it again?
1,000, 600, 400.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
They're giving the DEKAStrong team money. That's great. People are going to walk away with some cash.
It's going to bring in a certain type of athlete who may not do it otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Kevin Gregory is going to make some money this championship season. Someone like him.
Yeah, he's going to have a qualifier in all of those events.
He's done a ton of team events. He knows strategy perfectly. It's going to be a good year for him.
If Corning were healthy,
he is
put
healthy.
Those two together. Oh, I thought he wasn't.
Jack made that up.
He had a hip issue, I thought.
Corning and Gregory should do a strong team.
Oh my God. Would that be the optimal team? I mean, Corning's really good at those burpees as well. That thing is so light for him. And where is there...
Unless you get a twitchy guy paired with a power guy.
Right.
But I think they rock the boxes, the sit-ups, what else would you want?
Marcus and Colin should team up.
They really should.
I think that they have that Kevin and Ryan, for instance, have enough practice on this that they know that it just experience helps. I think that you could bring in Roman Krenikov and Jeff Adler and they might not do as well right away just because the experience.
How are you guys getting over those boxes? That's dumb.
Why do we have to touch so many times?
Yeah.
See ya. It's
what are we going to say, Rich? I should what?
Me and you should team up for that DEKAMile team. I think we'd be strong in that.
I'd be happy to. I got to get a qualifier in anything.
That might, I think we'd have to find, when did you say that DEKAMile was? Let me check. Let me see what Sun Valley flights are like to get up that way.
You have to qualify as a team? Yeah. That's how it works this year?
Yeah.
By the 16th.
The 16th is the cutoff?
There's a DEKAMile this weekend in Highland Ranch at Manic in Colorado.
Wait, by the 16th of September?
Yes. Same day as Nintendo.
Yeah, I'm not going to get a...
Or maybe the 17th, whatever the end of the weekend is.
I thought it was the next week.
If you look it up.
I have one the 23rd.
That might be the final week. Let's see. Important dates. September 29th. You'll get a registration email. September 27th are the last events that you can participate in. What?
Let's see this.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to make this Highland Ranch race, but I think I should be in the top 20. Might just be doing out the slow.
I have a strong the 23rd.
You're in. Get a teammate too.
I'm not going to be any good at strong.
Why not?
Why would I? Name why I'd be good at strong. It's all the things I'm worst at.
It's close to 7 minutes.
All right, so I've got clarification for the listeners. DEKAFIT Elite Qualification, and this says Elite Qualification. I don't know if it necessarily follows through for the other age groups, but it says September 16th, Orlando event. That's the qualifying season for DEKAFIT. Deka Mile and Deka Strong are September 24th, the final day for the qualification season for those two events.
BK's got one on the 23rd. He's going to jump in there.
Yep.
Strong.
And they are actually the same exact for age group as well. And teams. So the 24th is Strong and Mile. The 16th is for Fit, for teams and solo.
So where would we qualify a team mile, Rich?
Will you make your money back from the flight?
It's about the experience.
I know.
I don't even care. I do care. Plainfield, Illinois. No, it's this weekend. Looks like there's one Underdog. You ever been out to Connecticut, BK? I got some fam out there. We can show you around. Westchester also got fam that direction. PA. No, I don't know. I don't think. I don't know if it's going to work.
Go to ICOR.
Yeah, that's our guy Mark Falcone, who is registered. I haven't talked to him in a minute. He's been dealing with some injury for a long time.
We'll talk offline about teams, but it looks like probably not this year.
It might not be in the works. Yeah.
Rich, you just mentioned it's about like the prestige and the experience for
I
a
was
team.
Saying that in jest.
No. I'm mentioning this for a reason. So we've already heard that High Rocks, one of their 4 regionals, is on the same exact weekend as this.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the prestige of getting 3rd place, or not necessarily the prestige, but I made $1,000 extra, that people are going to side with that versus going to a championship event? Like, wouldn't you rather at a championship event do better, even if it's in its infancy, versus going over there in Europe just for simply the paycheck? Do you think people are actually leaning that way? Because when we look back at OCR, it's like, who actually remembers who won the tuxedo sprint from this year or whatever? Like,
you don't?
At one of the NBC, I do, but not too many people do. But like an NBC race early on versus the World Championship that year, it's like, I feel like the prestige of getting a championship podium now that hybrid is a little bit more established means a little bit more. But it's kind of surprising because I've heard on a couple other podcasts and just word of mouth that people are leaning towards heading over to Sweden, which will open up spots for other people for sure. But it's kind of weird that they're just doing it solely for the money.
I would not be surprised if we do see that factor in when it comes to DEKA World Championships, that people do just opt for Sweden for the second major for High Rocks. And I think it's like the conversation we had about CrossFit and having them come into High Rocks, is that just, it's not necessarily the title, but it's more the recognition of a bigger event like High Rocks, like in exposure. Like, they'll probably get paid more, but they'll also get more exposure as well. I think if you win that major, it will probably give you better exposure worldwide than a podium finish at DEKA. So I don't know.
Yep.
Let's
say that you had the opportunity to race in Sweden. Madrid goes well. What are you going to do? Like, are you going to try to defend your title, or are you going to go over to Madrid? Like, and I'm not asking you to like firmly state it,
declare.
But like,
heard it here first.
Yeah.
No, I would definitely do DEKA. I mean, like, it's not only, but primarily due to like trying to defend a championship. I think there's something to be said about that.
If you got 3rd last year, you already have a podium. 2nd isn't right there. Does that change?
And if High Rocks is going real well to the point where it's like I could be on the podium, I could win that race.
Yeah,
I would have something to consider.
Would the fields matter to you? Would you take a look at the start list and pick your poison?
Where I could do better? Well, if you figure how many Europeans are going to be over there, so
most of them.
Yeah, so like
if Kent decided to go one place, would you go to the other?
Would I dodge Kent?
Yeah, right. Kent dodges Rich.
He dodges me.
Let's get this right.
Yeah, like this is. I can answer this as Ryan Kent, and like, yeah, definitely. If that was the case, definitely.
Do you see Ryan Kent going to Philly? Nope.
Not gonna be there. He's gonna do that Highlands Ranch one, and I'm not even gonna do that because I'm doing teams with Meg after the fit. They stretched out that schedule quite a bit this year, huh? Like. Teams were at like 4 last year. This year they're like 6:30.
Sometimes they bump them up, but it might have just had really good registration that they need to kick things back.
You got to fit in that Go Ruck heat. Important.
DEKA at altitude sounds terrible to me.
It's awful. I know, Jack, you did the fit, right? I had COVID then.
I did. Yeah, that was like a minute and a half slower for everybody given
Those
altitude plus the turf.
Slow.
It was not pretty.
Two of the worst feeling workouts I ever did at altitude. One was just 100 burpees for time, and the other was a 2 by 10 minute time trial on that on an OCR course out near Falcon or wherever that was.
Peyton one, the old one.
Peyton, yeah. Both of those were just the worst feeling workouts I did at altitude. Worse than anything else. And that feels both of them similar-ish to Deka. So that sounds terrible.
Yeah, Deka Mile's really super not fun.
That team, that sounds pretty interesting. You and Meg, I'm assuming you're going for the record because you and Bridget pretty solid anyway.
I already got the record. And Bridget is a dog. She's a great teammate. And she's like fast and will just put out. And she's like, all right, I'm here for the team. She's like a team sports athlete. So she like goes for it. We're looking to win the whole deal. Like when people are like, oh, we're going for the record. To me, it's like, if you're fit enough, shouldn't every time be for the record? Like, you shouldn't just like, I'm going for the record. Like, it should just be as fast as you can go. And that's the rest of saying you're going for the record. Like, why wouldn't you go for the record? Like, I don't. It's a weird declaration when people say that to me. I'm going for the record. It's like,
I know. Yeah.
Okay. So we're not
Are
declaring
you expecting a record. Yeah, that's
no. We're just.
I'm the opposite.
Win doubles outright.
I love the fact that people are trying to set a record in doubles. I think it drums up good publicity for team races.
But like, would you not try to set a record if you were just racing? If you had the chance, if you were near the record, like it's not like when you declare it, you're all of a sudden like going to then go faster because you're like, we're going for the record. So
I think so.
Got my 2% power up.
You're running. You're going at your limiter rather than like I'm going to win.
But I don't like. We're going to go as hard as we can, and if that's the record, that's great. But we're trying to win this outright. We're trying to, and if we do, we're going to stand on we're not moving from the podium. When the male teams come up, we're not moving.
So by outright, you mean you want to beat the men's teams as well?
Yeah.
Can you and Meg beat a team of like Dylan and Riker or Magida and just any combination of the athletes will be here?
Magida and Mark got away from Bridget and I last year, but we beat Ryan Corning and his partner, who was like a runner dude. We beat Rylan and his partner. We were second overall. I think me and Meg could do pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what time it is. For 250.
Meg versus Dylan head-to-head in a 5K.
I mean, Meg can run. I think Dylan. Dylan.
He's got to be able to run.
Dylan
16 low, right?
Yeah.
Not low. 16 high, maybe.
He can break 60, is what we're saying.
There's not. Dylan could train from now until the next. Not this coming Olympics, the following Olympics, just for the 400, and he ain't breaking 60.
Oh I would take that bet.
Yeah, I think that's a fair bet to take.
How's the team race going to factor in? Because now that they've got a team option for every single distance for World Championship, like say you and Meg do end up having, you're going to make the podium if the two of you decide to do it at Worlds. But both of you want to do mile the next day. It's like, are you really going to do that when you might have a couple of teams that are just completely fresh and you're like, now I really have to sell out and I have to wake up tomorrow morning for my third race in 2 days and I might have another one later on. Like, are you considering that or?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious.
Yes. No,
Triple threshold training. He's used to it.
It's easy. Light.
Infinite threshold.
And that's basically how Meg trains.
Yeah.
Unlimited threshold every day. So, yeah, I think that'd be really fun. I mean, the team race is so fun for Deka. It is like one of the most fun race experiences I've had in the past couple of years. So I would love it. And I would love if the competition is really strong. I think it would just be great. And like, it's so short. I mean, it is short. Yeah. A DEKAFIT split in half, basically. It's like,
yeah,
I'm not sure how much damage it's really going to be. Like an 800
painful,
heat.
But it's like doing some 400s after a race.
Yeah. 250s. We're going to work on our handoffs.
Yeah.
That way.
All about the handoffs.
4x4 handoffs. Last year, Magida and and Mark were trying to do blind handoffs. I'm like, guys, no,
it's not even beneficial.
We don't need all that. You're not going that fast.
I coached track for a while, and every year there'd be someone at regionals or sectionals or state that would go blind handoffs for the 4x8 for the 3,200 meter relay.
For the 4x8,
someone would always be like, "We're cutting off 1 second per handoff," and you don't, because you're not good at it. And at that pace, it's actually harder to go fast with a blind handoff compared to a sprint.
Yeah.
It's just never worth it.
No. So we're gonna do.
Did you see World Track and Field Championships, the mixed 4x4? Speaking of handoff,
that's like your favorite event. Who won?
It's a fascinating event.
I think it's dumb.
I don't like that they.
I'm
force
somewhere in between.
Male, female, male, female. I think you should be able to put any order that you want. That was kind of part of the appeal.
They make you do.
They standardized it.
They didn't last year, right? There was athletes running against each other.
This is the first year that they made that the requirement.
Right. Last year there were men running against women.
Yeah. But yeah, the Femke Bowl, who's if Sydney McLaughlin didn't exist, should probably be one of the the cover girls of track and field on the women's side. She just tripped with like 5 meters left, and her baton flew off the track. Lost by you haven't seen it. Sorry, Rich. I shouldn't have. I just assumed you did.
Yeah. We're already there. Is that something that just happens in track and field? I feel like the amount of people who are falling down with like 5 meters to go is at an all-time high.
It really is.
Yeah.
What I have a theory on this.
Let's hear it.
Super spikes.
Too much
grip. Go on.
You have a higher platform. It's squishier foam and it's more unstable. I think that you can't absorb false steps the way you can in regular spikes.
I feel like if you're in regular spikes,
a little bit.
I don't know. I feel like you're just depleted, and if you can't lift your knee enough at the end of a race, and you're just out of gas, you're on empty.
These athletes are more depleted than they were 20 years ago.
Maybe we just have more coverage of why we're seeing it happen.
I think it's generational. These athletes they're not going to win, and they fall over.
Gen Z
I fell in the final.
Well, Stefan's was she chose to fall.
That's what I'm saying. I think people are choosing to fall instead of getting.
Chose to fall. But I think Stefan chose to fall.
She didn't want second place. Yeah.
Was she going to win?
She was going to get out kicked.
Yeah. She like probably less
she
than
moved,
a third
put
of
an arm,
behind.
and then did one of those like, oh, I can't get it, and then like got out. And when you fall, it's not because your arms get out in front of you and like, oh, I'm falling before I'm really. It's because you catch your foot on something. That was just like,
yeah.
Oh, I'm helpless. What just happened? I fell to the ground.
Who was the one who did it? World Track or World Cross Country Champs in Australia earlier this year. There was some front running woman who died at the end.
Day.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was her. Okay.
That could have been either like because that didn't start until she got out kicked. Her real bad rigging up started after she
purely a coincidence. Yeah.
But we had Morgan. What was her name? Morgan, 1,500 meter runner. She wore that candy necklace or charm necklace.
When? What years? Now?
8 years ago.
Oh, I was like, I can't think of anyone now.
She's really good. She was ranked 1 in the world for a while, and at like 2 or 3 straight world champ and Olympics combined, she fell in the 1500.
Oh, Usini or something.
Morgan
right?
Usini.
Oh, yes.
Arkansas,
Nice.
I think.
Yeah, she just kept falling.
I think
We had
it's the
Susie
kid's
Favor
age.
Hamilton, who's a Wisconsin girl. She fell in the Olympics.
Did she get clipped, or she just do the fall
She
and have a
passed
story?
out, but it was like, did she pass out or did she just throw herself down? She had other things going on in life.
Yeah, well, you want to know who ended up falling and coming back? Kenny Rooks for steeplechase. He doesn't care if he falls.
That was pretty awesome. She fell on the home stretch.
I know, but it's different. And then
Rooks that was an incredible race.
But Sifan
Just
Hassan in the Olympics.
US?
In the Olympics, she
That was
tripped
sick.
in the 1500 and ended up winning her heat
That's unreal.
during qualifiers, which is just stupid. So she has a history of coming back from falling. So it's like
She does fall a lot.
yeah,
She's so frail. She's so weak physically and just such a monster of a runner.
except at running.
Yeah, she doesn't. And she's like kind of a flailer and thrasher. She gets knocked off her stride really easy. But yeah, I think the higher platform super spike that are, I mean, that's the constant. Everyone who runs in them realizes the heels are not as stable. They're a little less stable on turns. I think it's that little 0.5% or 1% less stability that tips people over.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, if someone shoved you in Hyperion tempos or shoved you in Alpha Flies, which one are you going to be more likely to fall in?
The Alpha Flies, I know.
Right.
So
you're less drafted, same concept.
You're giving people the benefit of the doubt. I think they're all faking it. Not trying to take those fourth places, finishes. They'd rather just fall down and
you think Kent could do that if he's behind you at DEKAFIT, just getting past in that last
We've
lap.
seen Kent go down in a race.
Kent's a dog. He'll finish. When is Kent?
I was just making fun of him. But
was that Fenway Kent went down?
No, he got like body checked.
Isaiah gave him that work.
No, I was in that race.
It was a stiff arm.
Yeah.
It was an arm grab. He hit a puddle as he was playing. It was a bad situation. Anyways.
He actually got hurt, right?
Yeah, he dislocated his shoulder.
Sheesh.
Yeah. Nah, Kent wouldn't do that. He's tough.
Until he's racing me.
That's right.
Yeah, I got to go catch up on World Track and Field Championships, so we have something to talk about. And then we'll catch up about DEKA results from this previous weekend. We'll have a better idea of what it's going to look like for the Worlds. And what else we got on the list, Jack? I know you sent it. And
it's kind of DEKA recap, and this is what we got going on for a while.
Mm-hmm. BK, what'd you have on the Running Public?
We did. Oh my goodness. It's been a week already. I don't know what we did yesterday. We recorded a podcast and I can't remember what it was about.
Check it out.
Oh,
we're on TRP.
Pacing long races.
Okay.
How to approach racing a distance that's longer than what you're used to. People have West Virginia coming up or a fall marathon or whatever and starting to get that nervous. How do I go about pacing West Virginia?
Oh, was that next week in West Virginia?
Yeah.
Okay.
They have earlier start times than normal, so if you're doing it, make sure you're paying attention.
We got to do our age group recap at some point leading into slow. That's some time though.
Killington, they've got the age group champs, or the North American Championship.
Are they doing that for age group too? Like they're finishing the series in slow in like November, but they're doing the championship in Killington. What in the world? Why couldn't they just flip that? How could that be the case?
That's crazy. So anyway, we contrasted pacing for a marathon versus an off-trail 2 to 3.5 hour race. In a vacuum versus broken.
Got it.
Climbing vert obstacles.
Did you have an interview?
Tomorrow.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah.
Remember last week when I said I shouldn't tell you who our guest is? Didn't work out.
Happens.
Joe Rogan keeps bailing on you.
Maybe T-shirt guy is available.
T-shirt?
Yeah. I was on the I Am a Spartan podcast with Scott Knowles, if you want to give that a listen.
Nice. Funny guy. What'd you guys talk about?
Just kind of background. It was more him interviewing me instead of like just bantering and stuff. He likes Race Brain. He's always involved in the Southeast US. He loves ultras and stuff. So we just kind of shot the shit a little bit.
He's prepping for the Killington Ultra right now.
He's dealing with an ankle injury, and he's like, I think I'm just going to do West Virginia and take it nice and easy. Going to do some 20-mile runs up and down Stone Mountain. I'm like, what are you doing? Just got to get that.
I wrote that training plan.
Yeah.
Nice. I think I would rather do
race.
like Leadville 100 than do Killington Ultra. I think Killington.
Have you ever done Killington of any sort?
I haven't. We got engaged in Killington.
There's something magical about it. It's hard to put your finger on why, but it's everyone who does it wants to come back at some point, even if during and right after, like never again. It sinks its hooks into you. It's a special race.
I wish it wasn't in September, or all the other important races were around it, because that would be a fun one-off. If I had 5-6 weeks afterwards where nothing matters. It's like, oh, that'd be fun to give it a shot. But it's always the worst time of year. It's always 1 to 2 weeks before Tahoe or right before OCR Worlds, and just never works out.
All right. That's where we'll wrap it up.
Good luck, Rich.
Thanks as always. Talk to you soon.